If you're a local clinic owner, so a physiotherapist, chiropractor, osteo, or RMT, this is going to be perfect for you. If you haven't watched the impressions campaign video, I would recommend watching that first because it's going to make this video a lot easier, and then come back to this one, maybe even in a month. But at the same time, you could just do it both at the same time, or do this one at the same time, or even first, but you might not get as good of results. We're going to go through how to set up a lead campaign with meta ads. So what we are going to do is we're going to be in our ad account. We're going to create a new ad. This one is going to be leads, and then click continue. From here, you can just name it. So we'll just call it leads, and then we're all set. So from here, we can set it at campaign budget. This is typically what we want to do. And then I would recommend at a minimum $20 per day. So we'll just leave it at 25. You don't have to do anything else from there. Just make sure that it's not set to lifetime budget or daily budget is actually selected. And then you can do whatever you're comfortable with. And then at the next one, you can click next, or you can go over here. This is going to be the ad set level. What we are going to do is, because we are seeing a lot of issues with the health and wellness industry, Meta not really talking with your website and tracking leads and conversions, it makes it tough to send people to the website, and it's not talking, so it's not sending data back. So if someone were to actually convert, Meta's not actually knowing that that was a good lead, that was a good person, send more people like that. So it's not optimizing for anything. So how we're going to go around this and fix this is we are going to actually go to here, website, and then we're going to go single, and then we're going to go instant forms. And then if you haven't done it already, you're going to have to accept the terms here. And then you're also going to drop this one down, and we're going to go maximize number of conversion leads. This is basically going to try to optimize people that are actually going to book. So you can name this ad set if you do want. You can say instant forms. And then we are going to continue down. And then we are going to do the same thing that we did in the previous video. So what we are going to do is add our custom audiences. If you haven't created custom audiences, you can watch our previous video, or you can just go here, custom audience, and create the audiences. So we have created new ones from our last video. So first off, we are going to create those. So we'll go custom audience, we'll go lead form. And I personally like to create ones for each individual one, just so we know exactly what we're doing. So what we're targeting, what we're not targeting. So you can go about this and go people who didn't submit, but I like to do it individually, people who submitted and who haven't submitted. So people who open the form, we are going to create this one for, and then we're going to set it at 90 days. And then we are going to set the audience name for this. We already have it, so I'm not going to actually do it. And then we'll click create audience. And then a second one is you're going to actually create people who opened the form and submitted. So we'll do that. And then same thing, 90 days, audience name, create audience. And then what we are going to do is add them in here. So submitted form, the exact same ones. Oh no, we don't want submitted form, sorry. We want open form. We want engagers. We want Instagram. And we want website visitors. And then we're going to further limit the reach of our ads. We are going to switch setup, and then we are going to add an exclusion. So this is where we're going to add the submitted form. So this is why I like to break it out. It takes it as a suggestion right here. We don't want to undo this, because then we're only going to be targeting these specific people. So it can be good because we're targeting that warm audience. That's what the impression campaign is for. But it's just going to be such a small audience that it might just not work unless you live in a very highly populated area, say like New York or Toronto, where there's millions of people that are there. So you're able to target those people specifically. So if you do have a very big warm audience, so like maybe 100,000 people in your warm audience, you could just check this off, and then you're going to have just be targeting these people. But I'd recommend, if you don't have that type of audience, I would probably turn this off and then let Meta do its thing. So pretty much from here, we're all set. And we also want to make sure we are creating our geofence. So we're going to type our location in. We're going to drop that really quickly because we did this in the previous video, exclude, and then we're going to drop a pin and then we're going to create this geofence around our target location. So this is what we just like to do to make sure we aren't targeting those locations that we don't want to be showing up in. And then as you can see, we basically have created this fence around our target location. We only want to be targeting in this little area. So same thing goes for you. You put in your actual location. If 10 miles is too long, you can actually drop a pin. So you can go include, drop a pin, drop it, say right there, for example, and then it's going to update. And this gives you the flexibility to go down to as little as 1 mile. So if you only want to target 1 mile, you can do that. But if not, you can just adjust that and add a 0 there. And then we'll go with 10, right? Didn't work. Anyways, we'll continue scrolling down. And then we're going to show more settings. We don't see it here. We're going to adjust the platforms. We don't like audience network. We're going to turn that off. And then we are going to edit here. We don't like in-stream ads. This is all personal preference. And that's pretty much it. These are typically the higher converting areas that we like to see. So from here, we're pretty much all set. And we're going to uncheck this as well. So we don't want that showing up. And we're all set here. What we are going to actually do, if you followed the previous video, you set up your impressions campaign, we're going to take those ads and put them in here. So we don't need this one. We're going to actually delete this one. And now we don't have any ads if it loads. So now we don't have any ads. So what we're going to do, we're going to close out of here. We're going to go to our impressions campaign. So as you can see, impressions, and then in here, these are all of our impressions. So if this were live and I had this checked, only ads from this checked one will show. So unless they're drafts. So the only time it does show is if they're drafts and they aren't published yet. But if everything was published, I'd only be seeing everything from this awareness campaign that we set up previously. And then same thing from here. If I select only this ad set, every ad in this ad set would show up here unless they're drafts. So these are the only 2 ads that we currently have. What we'll do, we'll check these, and then we're going to duplicate. We're going to go existing campaign. We're going to delete this one, and then we're going to go with our new ads or leads campaign that we just set up. And then we're going to go in our existing campaign or existing ad set. We're going to select instant forms, leave check this one. So show existing likes, reactions, comments. So leave that checked. And then we're going to duplicate, continue. And then since we set this up previously, we wouldn't have to actually set up anything here except for our form. Our headline, our primary text, our description is in our ad. So as you can see right here, is all going to be already done. All we have to do is select our form. If you don't have a form created already, you're just going to create a form and go through the steps, and you're going to name your form. You're going to want to go higher intent, and then you can leave this checked if you want. We're going to go to next, and then background image. I do like to turn this on. You can typically just use the one that's pre-populated from the ad. It makes the most sense because it makes sense because that's what they came from. Whereas if you upload an image and it's completely different than the ad they clicked, it might be a little bit of not consistency. And then you want a headline. So something good here that reassures them they're in the right spot. This is the headline to try and get them to convert. And then you want a little bit of a description. And then you want questions. So I would make sure you have full name, you have email, and you have phone number. So I would make all of that required so you at least have their contact information. If they don't end up booking or checking out, you can at least contact them and be like, maybe you can follow up maybe within a week or 2 weeks or a month, and they can just kind of get in your system and you continually reach out to them. So I'd make sure that. And then also it eliminates a lot of people that are less intent on wanting to actually say get your services and book it. Because if it's just full name, a lot of people, you might get a lot of junk, and people are just going to continually fill it out. And then what you can also do is add some other questions. So make it more higher intent, because if you have more questions, there's more friction, which makes it a little bit harder. So if someone's actually truly wanting to book or schedule an appointment, they're more willing to actually go through these steps to actually get there. So you can have multiple choice, you can have short answers, and then you can have conditional logic if you really want, but you can do these specific ones. And then a description here. So you might just want to do something reassuring, like, we will never sell your information. We are just using this to follow up and book your appointment, and we're never going to spam you. Just want to reassure them and make them feel comfortable giving you their information. If you have a privacy policy page, I would link it here. If you don't, you can just turn this off. And then we're going to go to the review screen. So this is where you can review it here. If you have all your information here, it's a little bit different for me because I didn't fill it out. But if you fill it out, you'd be able to scroll through here, see exactly what it would look like, and see if everything looks good. And then they'll go to the ending screen. This is where you're also going to want to try and get them to book themselves. If they don't book, you're going to have to follow up afterwards. And that adds a little bit of a manual work, which is fine, but it would be nice if they just automatically booked with you. So what you can do here is say, thank you for contacting. We've received your request. You're not done yet. Fill out the form below. And then if you have Jane, you can link to your Jane app here, and you can say call to action, book your appointment. And then it just gets them to actually potentially book on their own, and then you don't have to actually reach out, call them, email them, and try and get them on the phone to actually book. You try and get them to do it on their own. So that's basically the goal there. And once you have that done, you're pretty much all set. And then you have your form. And then once you click create form, you're not able to edit that form anymore. You'd have to either duplicate it or just create a whole new form in general. So once you have your form created, you'll be able to select the one that you just created. And then as you can see, everything else will already be done, and you don't need to do anything else. So that's the real simple part about creating these new ads from the impression campaign that we just set. And then once you're all set here, you're looking good. And just make sure you go through all of the other ads that you just created. Make sure the form is selected. Once the form is selected, make sure there's primary text, headline, description, and you're pretty much all set. If you want, you can change the call to action to book now, or it might be best on the actual impressions campaign to set it up as book now. But once you're done there, you'd be able to come back out here. And if you want to publish them all at once, what you can do is click the ad set and then click 6 ads. And then you can just publish, and that's going to publish them all at once. It makes it extremely quick and easy. So that's how you're going to set up your lead campaign. Once you're done with this lead campaign, there's a few different ways you have to actually track it. It would be actually in all tools, and then in here, you'll go to lead center. So this is where all your leads are going to get stored. You're going to have to manually track it. So you'll see in here, they'll all get stored in here. So you might have to come in every morning or night to just check and make sure you're seeing if any leads came through. Or if you do have Zapier, I believe Premium, you're able to send zaps. And it does look like that Meta, I haven't used Meta's platform, but it does look like Meta can also create or connect with your actual CRM. So if you just want to create a Google Sheet or your CRM, you can connect through here on Meta side. But how I typically do it and what I would recommend is through Zapier. You do have to have the monthly subscription to connect to Meta ads though for lead submissions. But if you don't want to do that, you can check out this option, or you can just come in through Meta and do that manually and check out your lead center here manually. But that's how you set up a leads campaign through instant forms, and that's how you're going to dominate your local market, get more patients, get more bookings, and that's how you would set that up.